At the making of this video, the LA Clippers are currently 27-27, currently the 8th seed in the Western Conference, and you might be looking at their record and saying that it is mediocre, which it is, but it is kind of impressive when you realize that they haven't had Paul George for more than half the season, and Kawhi Leonard hasn't played a single game, and the Clippers being able to win without their two stars has led me to believe the Clippers next season will be the team to beat, and that has led me to make this video where I'm just going to be talking about why I believe that. Before we get into the video, I ask you to drop a like on this video as it does help my channel grow. Subscribe to my channel if you want daily NBA content. Also, if you want to reach for a goal of 3,000 subscribers. Also, drop a comment on this video as I do respond to all of my comments. And play that intro. First, we definitely have to talk about how good the Clippers have been this season without Kawhi and Paul George missing so much time. As I said, they have a 500 record. They're currently in the playoffs in the Western Conference. You also have to realize the Clippers are doing this with just role players playing for them. Reggie Jackson has probably been their best player the whole season, or Marcus Morris, and Reggie Jackson is literally a below average starting point guard in today's league. He's not a bad player by any means, but he is a below average point guard if he's starting, and he has been starting for them, and they have still been able to win. And yes, I'm aware the Clippers have some of the best depth in the league, as they have a guy like Reggie Jackson who's giving you 16 points. They have Marcus Morris giving you 16 points. They have Terrence Mann giving you like 10 points, playing really good defense. Luke Kennard giving you elite shooting and averaging like 12 points. Ivica Zubac, one of the most underrated centers in the league. He just plays his role, very underrated. They also have Nicholas Batum, who's a great shooter, could do a little bit of everything on the court, and Amir Coffey has low-key broken out as a guy who can shoot and attack the rim at some times. This team honestly has some of the best defense in the league, and when you realize they just added Robert Covington and Norman Powell, who are two really good defenders to their defense, they're definitely going to be even more scary, and those guys can even help them on offense, because right now the Clippers are really struggling on offense, and Powell is a guy who could give you 16 to 20 points on any given night on a consistent basis. I think he's going to be this team's go-to scorer, because I think he's simply the best scorer on this team and the most efficient, and Robert Covington is a guy who can space the floor and be an elite defender. The Clippers definitely fleeced the Blazers in this trade, and I honestly think they just have the best depth in the league, straight up. They have guys coming off the bench who could be starters on good teams. Imagine if your team could get rid of your two best players and you guys could still be a playoff team. Not a lot of teams could say that. Next, we have to talk about what they're going to look like when Kawhi and Paul George come back. And honestly, I think this will be really good, because we already know their role players aren't guys who you're going to have to struggle to fit in. And it's not like Paul George or Kawhi are difficult players to fit into your offense. All their role players are not guys who are ball dominant. They're not guys who can't shoot the ball. They're all actually really good floor spacers. I remember last season they were one of the best three-point shooting teams ever. Paul George and Kawhi simply are not ball dominant guys. Neither of them need the ball in their hands to be great, and they can move off the ball, they can cut, they can catch and shoot. This team is going to be really nice, and we've already seen in the past that this team can be really good. Last year in the playoffs, it honestly looked like the Clippers, if they hadn't got injured, would have for sure went all the way to the finals, because they beat Utah without Kawhi, which was very impressive. And then the Phoenix Suns, they pushed them to 6 games without their best player in Kawhi. That honestly just leads me to believe if Kawhi was there, the Clippers would have won that series and went to the finals. And genuinely, if a series were to happen between Milwaukee and the Clippers last year, I think it would be a really close series. I think it would probably go to 7 games, but I think I would give the Clippers the edge in that series, and I predict them to win it barely. And all I'm saying is that the Clippers next season are definitely going to be title contenders and a scary team. They're a team that's going to be elite on offense with 2 of the best superstars in the league, especially 2 of the best scorers. They're also going to have a bunch of role players who can score 16 points consistently and a bunch of shooters surrounding them. And on defense, they're going to be amazing, as they have arguably the 2 best perimeter defenders in the league when they're fully trying. Then on top of that, they have guys like Marcus Morris, Serge Ibaka, Terrence Mann, Nicholas Batum. They're They're already top 6 in defense right now. Imagine when they get their 2 best defenders back. This team is probably the best defensive team in the league, fully healthy. Now to just compare the fully healthy Clippers to some of the other teams that I think are contenders right now. First of all, a fully healthy Clipper team is definitely better than the Grizzlies and Utah. The Clippers beat Utah in the playoffs, and Utah's not way better than they were last season. They're probably even worse. And for me, Memphis just has to prove to me that they're legit in this year's playoffs. Then when it comes to teams like Miami, Chicago, I think the Clippers are just better than them. I think the Clippers could beat the Suns in the playoff series because we did see how they could push it to 6 games. But this year's Suns team is actually better than last year's Suns team. They fixed a lot of their little weaknesses. So in this hypothetical, I probably would say the series goes to 7. I don't know who would win. We have to see them in regular season, but the Clippers could definitely at least compete with the Suns in a series. And I honestly think the Clippers can compete with the Warriors in a series. I think they could even possibly beat the Warriors because they have more star power. Only thing the Warriors have in their advantage is like their system is just very hard to guard, and they would have the best player in the series in Steph Curry. But let's not act like Kawhi Leonard's not capable of outplaying Steph Curry. So I generally think they could beat the Golden State Warriors, and that's not crazy to think. And I honestly even think if any team is going to beat a fully healthy Brooklyn Nets squad, it is the Clippers because they have a lot of offensive talent to go at them, and they have a bunch of defenders to throw out all their perimeter players. This team is going to be really nice. They're definitely going to be contending for a championship. If the Lakers can't get back to being good, they might be the best team in LA, and it genuinely hurts me to say that because I'm literally a Lakers fan. To conclude the video, I'm not gonna lie, the Clippers have definitely been kind of disappointing since getting Kawhi and Paul George, all those guys, because we were expecting them to win the championship that one year. They haven't even made it to the finals, and yes, they've dealt with a lot of injuries, which is unfortunate, but this is definitely a team that if they're fully healthy, they can be a top team in the league. When you have 2 superstars like Kawhi and Paul George and combine that with some of the best role players in the league, that's a hard team to beat. I think every team should be watching out for the Clippers next season. They might just be average and not great this season, but going forward, they're definitely going to be a problem. Anyways, guys, that's it for the video. Let me know whether or not you fear the Clippers. Drop a like on this video to help my channel grow. Subscribe to my channel if you want daily NBA content. Also, if you want to ensure we go with 3,000 subscribers. Also, drop a comment on this video as I do respond to all of my comments. And play that intro.